Coming up on every single muscle. I got this figure in the original Monster in My Pockets NES game. It was one of my favorite stuffed animals, and it just poof, disappeared. It was one of the biggest mistakes of my early life. The absolute gall on this little f***ing kid. Okay, here's the part where people would advise me to never share this again, and instead I'm going to share it with the whole world. MadBalls elbow pads for life. What's up, internet? Every single muscle here, and we're gonna do something a little different today because I wanna reflect back on some of my biggest regrets as a toy collector, or rather, as a preservationist of my childhood toys. You've all experienced it before, the remorse you feel when you think back on the things you once owned and loved and realize that you foolishly sold them, or your parents gave them away, or maybe you have no memory whatsoever of when exactly you lost possession of it, or why and how in the world you'd let that happen at all.
What have I done, sweet Jesus? What have I done?
Today, it's the toys we loved and lost. I'm gonna kick things off with one that's near and dear to my heart. Monster in My Pocket is one of my favorite toy lines, and when I'm done doing every single Battle Beast, there's a very, very high chance I'll be talking about every single Monster in My Pocket. But to give you a little context, Series 1 Monster in My Pocket, those are easy to come by. Series 2, you see those occasionally. Series 4, they're a dime a dozen. But the Series 3 Monster in My Pockets are as rare as can be. Most of them only came inside boxes of like Shreddies cereal, and only in Canada as far as I can tell. I never had any of those. But one of the figures in Series 3, it's called Blemye, or Blemye, or Blemye. Whatever it's called, I got this figure in the original Monster in My Pockets NES game. That's right, the NES game actually came with a Monster in My Pocket inside it, and this was one of the rarest ones of all, and I had the pink Blemye, and I had it in my collection for the longest time, and then years later, I'm on the little rubber guys message boards, as you are wont to do, and someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I'll give you $100 for that Blemye. And at the time I'm thinking, you know what? I love my little rubber dudes. I love my muscles and my Monster in My Pockets and my Battle Beasts and my Army Ants, but maybe one of them, just one, is worth $100. It doesn't mean I'm tearing apart a set. I still have a complete Series 1. So I did it. I sold it. $100 for one little tiny rubber dude. And if I wanted to get it now, it would certainly sell for more than that. An elite piece of my collection that I just let slip for a single Benjamin Franklin. Was that a mistake? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'll never have the answers. Now, as a kid, I didn't have very much MadBalls stuff. I had 2 pieces of MadBalls merchandise. The first, which I unfortunately lost to the ether, was the Screamin' Mimi Water Squirter. I had that thing for so many years, and I remember it just ended up in the bin of balls. There were baseballs and footballs and soccer balls and golf balls and tennis balls and those blue balls you throw against the walls, and the MadBall was in there. I have no idea what happened to that bin of balls. That's a heartbreaking thing. The prices, if you wanted to find it now, are pretty high, even if it's loose. Even if all the paint is worn off like mine was, it would be at least in the 3 figures. But the other piece of MadBalls merchandise that I wore. Okay, here's the part where people would advise me to never share this again, and instead I'm going to share it with the whole world. In high school, yes, high school, I had a phase where I walked around wearing MadBalls elbow pads. I had a couple of them. There were 4 elbow pads, so I did a rotation. A Slobulus was definitely one of them. And it was just kind of my thing. I didn't give a shit. I was that kid. I'll wear MadBalls elbow pads, whatever. You don't know me. I'll do whatever I want. Nowadays, if you want to find these things, they don't come cheap. I kind of wish that I had them just to have them on display and think about that memory that's arguably embarrassing. But you know what? I'm just not embarrassed by it. It was a choice. It was like a deliberate choice I made then. And thinking back on it, I don't regret it one bit. MadBalls elbow pads for life. If I had them now, I'd wear them now. I'll say that. I'd wear them for this video. Send me your MadBalls elbow pads. I will wear them in the next video. I'll wear them in the next 5 to 10 videos. Actually, I don't want to wear them. They'll get all sweaty and gross, and I want them preserved, and I would stretch them out with my somewhat larger adult arms. My parents divorced when I was in middle school, and from that point forward, every other weekend we would go to my dad's house. and we would take with us our video games, of course. So we got in the groove of bringing our PlayStation 1 and all of our PlayStation 1 games and our memory cards to my dad's house every other weekend. And then we'd come back and we'd put it down, and we probably had the N64 already hooked up, so we were playing that mostly at mom's at the time, but we needed the PlayStation just in case. And one day, it disappears. It's gone. It's just not in the house anymore. Admittedly, it was in a regular plastic grocery bag, an A&P brand plastic bag, and we were like, Mom, what happened? Did Robert throw it out? Robert, did you throw out our PlayStation 1? And he said he didn't do it, and I just can't fathom what else could have possibly happened to it. Robert, it's time to admit it. You threw out our PlayStation 1 and all those video games. Did you do that? Was it a mistake? Was it an accident? It's okay if it was an accident. You can admit it, Robert. If you threw out our PlayStation 1 and all of our PlayStation 1 games and the memory cards with all our original Creator Wrestlers on there, you can admit it. It's okay. I will let it slide at this point if that's what happened. But at the time, we were fucking pissed. The 1988 Born to Rock Alf hand puppet from Burger King.
Now at Burger King, Alf Puppets.
If I think back on all the plushies I owned as a little kid, it's one of the few off the top of my head I feel like I would just never want to part with. In fact, he played a pivotal role in a movie I made in high school as part of my video production class, which ultimately sent me down my career path to being a writer here in Los Angeles, and yet he's gone. Now, the good news is these aren't too expensive nowadays, so hopefully I can stumble upon one during one of my toy hunts and close this dark chapter on my life once and for all. In the same vein, and I talked about this in a previous video, there's the My Pet Monster Wogster, which was one of the My Pet Monster pets. It was kind of a subline of My Pet Monster. I even had the cuffs on him and everything. And it was one of my favorite stuffed animals, one of the only ones that I could foresee wanting to keep forever, and yet it just, poof, disappeared. I just can't wrap my brain around it. And now you look at the prices of these things, and you know what? I just don't know if I'm ever gonna own it again, and it really kind of breaks my heart. Okay, a lot of the things I've mentioned so far are things that just kind of disappeared into the ether, but one thing that did not disappear, that was a distinct choice that I made, a bad choice, was selling my Crash Dummies figures. I didn't have too many. I had Vince and Larry, you know, the guys. I had Spare Tire, he was like the fat dude in the purple outfit, and I had the motorcycle with the sidecar, the black one. And they were great toys. They were so cool. You couldn't keep them together if you tried. There was no way to keep Vince and Larry from their arms just springing off at any moment. But they were so cool and odd and unique. And I remember when I moved across the country, I was trying to like lighten the load of toys that were like over in grandma's attic. And I sold all those Crash Dummies for just like 15 bucks, for like nothing at all. I don't know how much they sell for now. I'll put it up on the screen here. But regardless, it just feels like a mistake. Like I should have kept those. Then of course, there's this pink chimpanzee eraser. Are you guys familiar with Diener? They made all kinds of erasers in the 70s and 80s, most notably the dino erasers, and of course, the space creatures, also marketed by McDonald's as
The Monsternauts, now showing at McDonald's. Collect and conquer all 8.
But they also made various animals, and I remember I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I was at summer camp, but it was like kindergarten summer camp. It was summer kinder camp. And I brought this pink monkey eraser with me to camp, and I remember around nap time, some other kid walked over to me and he said,
Hey, can I borrow your monkey eraser and play with it today, and I'll give it back to you tomorrow?
And in all my naivete as a 4-year-old child at summer kinder camp, I thought,
Okay, sure.
and I handed him my monkey eraser. And what happens? You won't be able to guess. You wouldn't think a child could be as cruel as this kid turns out to be. It was one of the biggest mistakes of my early life. And the next day, this kid shows up to camp and he hands me back my monkey eraser. That's right, he gives it back to me, looking like this. Do you see that? He cut the hands and feet off of my monkey eraser. He tore them off, or he sheared them off with a scissor and dared to give it back to me in this condition. The absolute gall on this little fucking kid. Like, where do you get off doing that? That was the first time in my little young life where like trust was broken in such a way on such an innocuous thing. And I realized that you can't just trust anybody. You can't hand some other 4-year-old your pink monkey eraser, or they'll do horrible, horrible things to it. And so, yeah, I did keep it as a token, as a memory, as a very harsh memory. But 25, 30 years later, I decided to rectify the problem. And I got myself a new monkey eraser with his hands and feet intact. And I got them both side by side here. They're both going to live in the collection. But really, what's wrong with that kid? What the is wrong with that kid? That little goblin of a child. I know he's 4 years old, but he probably turned out to be a horrible adult too. That kid's, he's not going to turn out right, okay? That kid's not going to turn out right at all. That kid's going to be running some other kind of camps in the future. Maybe that was too much. Maybe that's a little harsh. If you let your child do this to a toy that was lent to them, your kid's going to grow up to be a Nazi. I'm just going to say it. I genuinely don't know what this video is going to look like in the end. This is a concept that's still kind of marinating around in my brain, so much so that this is not going to be the last you'll see of toys we loved and lost. No, this is just the first in a series. Going forward, I'm going to be reaching out and speaking with toy collectors across the globe to ask them their stories of toys that they loved and lost. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear all of those and to experience the memories with these people, because the toy community is something beautiful and special, and it's welcoming and fun. And I really very much appreciate being part of it and being welcomed in the way that I have been. And so thanks to all of you in advance, and thanks to everybody for watching so far. I'm going to keep making videos. I don't know what format they're all going to take. Obviously, you can see I'm experimenting now, but it's going to be a good time. Stick around for more every single muscle.